Greetings, music fans. I am Ken, the Metal Professor, host of Mostly Metal, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock on WVLP in Valparaiso, Indiana. Welcome to my basement. This is a different spot in my basement than my other videos. I'm still trying to work out where the ideal location for these things might be. Hopefully we can get through this without hearing the pitter-patter of, or the clomp-clomp of footsteps coming from the family upstairs. We'll see how this goes. I hope your social distancing is going well. We are all crammed at home together, and it looks like since the kids have switched school from going to school to online classes, that's going to continue for at least a couple of weeks. Wish us all luck on that stuff. So I just exercised, took a shower, and I'm ready to talk about Blackfoot. In my last video, I mentioned that I might be doing Testament soon in terms of rankings, and I'm going to do them next still. I'm still kind of working on it and putting my final thoughts together. I'll probably sit down and do that one tomorrow, but I didn't want today to go to waste. And I've been thinking about Blackfoot for quite a while, so they're ready to go. And in fact, I'm going to try to do my ranking of their albums and my top 10 favorite songs both in the same video. We'll see how that goes. Instead of making two separate videos. Their discography is only 11 albums long, and so it shouldn't take that long if I would just shut up and get to it, right? So here we go. Blackfoot albums. I'm going to lay them out in my grabbing order. That's my personal opinion of when it's time to listen to some Blackfoot, which one am I least to most likely to want to listen to at any given time. Now, in all fairness, 3 of these are albums that I don't actually have if I was going to listen to them. I would have to go to Spotify, but I have listened to them, not a lot. It's the most recent 3, as you can guess. I haven't listened to them a lot, but I did listen to them enough to, I think I've figured out where they would go in the overall rankings. My Blackfoot albums were the victim of my great basement flood of the early 2000s when my LP collection went kablooey. When we got water in our basement because our sump pump quit working on a weekend when we were traveling, and so water was coming into the basement for a couple of days before we were able to do anything about it. Yeah. So the core the CDs that came out, or LPs when I had them, that came out in the middle, they're pretty easy to replace on CD. In fact, there's a classic album set where you can get everything from Strikes through Siogo for like less than $20 on Amazon. Their first 2 albums, which we'll talk about, are a little harder to find. Well, they're not hard to find, but they're a little harder to find for, a sort of a regular CD price. Okay, so anyway, in terms of Blackfoot albums, what am I least likely to go listen to when it's time for Blackfoot? Well, that would be Southern Native. That's their most recent album, came out in 2016, and that's basically because that's the new Blackfoot crew, right? Blackfoot is a band that other than Ricky Medlock's sporadic involvement, has totally been turned over to some appointed representatives from Ricky Medlock, and he has confidence in these guys. They're very good musicians, and I almost wonder if we're going to have more of that going around because, like Kansas, they're touring with a couple of original members that are getting older, and when they decide it's time to hang up the shoes, are they going to put Kansas to rest, or are they going to let the newer guys sort of carry on with it? Who knows? As a lot of these bands gain more and more longevity with more and more additions, that's going to be an interesting prospect. But the touring version of Blackfoot right now and the recording version for this one disc is a totally different crew. And that's not to say, it's a bad album or anything. It's just I listen to it and I'm like, yeah, it's music and it's kind of Southern rock, and I don't recognize it in terms of it really getting me excited like other Blackfoot albums have. And so kind of similarly to that, I'm going to pull in before that at number 10, Medicine Man, which came out in 1990. This was the first of that last set of 3 albums. To me, in my mind, there was sort of a break point in the Blackfoot discography where the core band released a bunch of albums, and then there was a Ricky Medlock and Blackfoot album that came out, which probably was more like a Ricky Medlock solo album than anything else, and then a pause, and then 3 other albums after that. Basically, at that point, it's the Ricky Medlock show. So Medicine Man was the first of those 3 in 1990. It's hard Southern rock. There's a nice song on there called Chilled to the Bone, but it doesn't get me as excited as the rest of them. I'm going to put Ricky Medlock, or Rick Medlock and Blackfoot, as it's called. I used to have this on cassette. That shows you how old I am. This came out in 1987. To me, it's kind of like their version of Seventh Star, the Black Sabbath album that Tony Iommi was working on as a solo album, and then it got the Black Sabbath name slapped on it at the very end. I'm suspicious that's what happened with this one as well, perhaps. I don't really know. I didn't go read on Wikipedia what the history of it was. It's okay. Back on the Streets is a good song. Silent Type, My Wild Romance, they're good tunes. There are some good tunes on the album, but it's a little too poppy compared to the rest of them. And so I'm not likely to want to listen to it that often. Next, at number 8, I'm going to put in After the Rain. Now, this is their second to most recent album from 1994. Again, it's just the Rick Medlock show at this point. But this album has got some good stuff on it. It's very super bluesy. It's totally different than Medicine Man in sound. So if you like really kind of hard bluesy Southern rock, you should definitely check this out. I will say that After the Rain and Medicine Man, whether or not I really like them compared to the other Blackfoot albums, the album cover art is great. It really reminds me of their first album, No Reservations, in terms of the style. It's very colorful, and it's not it's artwork. It's not a photograph or anything like that. Coming in at number 7 would be Vertical Smiles. Now we're getting into the sort of the core of the Blackfoot discography. This was put out in 1984. To me, two really great songs, Morning Dew and Summer Days, but they're kind of slower. I'd call them melancholy songs, but I really love listening to them. The rest of the songs on the album are not great, and the album cover is kind of cringeworthy. Number 6, No Reservations, their debut album from 1975. It has kind of a primitive sound to it because of the recording back in those days. Indian World is a great tune. I Stand Alone is a good kind of 7-minute, I guess you could call it an opus compared to the others. I don't know. You can tell where they're going, but to me it's kind of hit and miss. Siogo at number 5 for me from 1983. Could be their, I don't know if I'm going to call it their heaviest one, but it's leaving the southern rock realm and kind of getting more just into the hard rock realm. But Send Me an Angel and Sail Away are just exquisite tunes. A couple of other good ones. Puts it in the middle of the pack for me. And then we're getting to the really Blackfootiest of the Blackfoot albums. Number 4 for me is Tom Catton from 1980. Warped, Spendin' Cabbage, Gimme Gimme Gimme, Fox Chase. Really good, fast-paced southern rock tunes. Number 3 is Flying High, their second album from 1976. Feeling Good, Flying High, really sweet song called Mother. This is where they take the southern rock stylings that they introduced on No Reservations and crank it up a little bit and make it a little bit harder edged, I think, and really get underway in terms of what's going to come next. My number 2 favorite Blackfoot disc is Marauder from 1981. This has probably my favorite lead track on any Blackfoot album, which is Good Morning. Diary of a Working Man is awesome. Fly Away and Searchin'. Through that middle range of the Blackfoot discography between Marauder and the one that you now know is going to be number 1, which is Strikes from 1979. These albums had like a really nice guitar rock anthem. You know how Molly Hatchet would do the triple guitar attack with long solos. Blackfoot had something like that. They didn't have triple guitar, but they'd set up a song and then let it rip with guitar solos for the last few minutes. On Marauder, that was Searchin'. And on Strikes, my number 1 favorite Blackfoot CD is, that one is Highway Song. And basically any Blackfoot album with Highway Song on it is going to be my favorite. Strikes also has Left Turn on a Red Light, Baby Blue, Train, 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 another really good southern rock song, which had that album and a couple of others had little tiny brief interlude or introduction tracks with some harmonica or guitar and some nice old western drawl vocals from Shorty Medlock, which I believe was Rick Medlock's dad, which is pretty cool. So there we go. That's my ranking for my grabbing order for Blackfoot. I'm least likely to probably listen to their most recent Southern Native because it's basically a different band at this point. I'm most likely to want to put in Strikes because it has Highway Song. That's basically it. Now I'm going to go over into my top 10 favorite songs, and you might be able to guess what my number one is. Speaking of lists, if I were to make a list of the bands that I most regret never having seen in concert, Blackfoot would be in my top 3. I managed to see Molly Hatchet, not necessarily by accident, but they were opening for Triumph back in the 80s when I went to see that double bill. I'm glad that I saw Molly Hatchet. I love Molly Hatchet. I would have gone to see them anyway at some point probably, but because I was going to see Triumph, I looked into also seeing Molly Hatchet. Never did get around to going to see Blackfoot, and that bums me out. But anyway, my top 10 favorite Blackfoot songs, starting at number 10, Left Turn on a Red Light from Strikes. When I put this one on and I listened to other songs around it on Strikes, like Baby Blue, for example, they're both kind of, groovy, bluesy, southern rock. And at first glance or first listen, I don't know why Left Turn on a Red Light sticks with me, but when I'm done listening to the album, it's the song that's most likely to kind of still be bopping around in my head and turning into an earworm. And then I go back and listen to it, and I still really like it. So, yeah, there it is, number 10. Number 9 is Morning Dew from Vertical Smiles. Whatever you think about that album as a whole, Morning Dew is a great song. It makes me want to go camping. It makes me want to go sit outside and appreciate the outdoors. It's really smooth, and it's not sad. It's a melancholy song, and it makes you want to go outside in the morning, and that's awesome. Warped from Tom Catton is number 8. Could be one of their heaviest songs. It just hits you in the face as the lead-off track on Tom Catton, and never stops. Number 7 is Searchin' off of Marauder. This is one of their tracks with the chorus, verse, and then explode into lengthy guitar solo section types of songs that a lot of southern rock acts made famous, like Molly Hatchet, Lynyrd Skynyrd, The Outlaws, and Blackfoot did a few of them. Not as many as some of the others, but Searchin' is one of them. It's not as good as my favorite one, but it's the last song on Marauder, and Marauder is probably my favorite album cover. It's got that great, very colorful picture of a raptor, and I was about to say eagle. I don't know if it's an eagle, and I don't have the album sitting in front of me, and even if I did, I would look at it and go, yeah, that's a bird. But it's a gorgeous bird, whatever it is. Let's see, what comes after Searchin'? Feelin' Good off of Flying High. That's just a happy song. It's a happy song. It's got a great uplifting guitar chord structure to it. It makes me want to listen to it over and over again. Train off of Strikes, your quintessential southern rock song, singing about being on trains. I mean, what can you say? It's a nice 5 or 6 minute song. It gives you enough time to immerse yourself in the tune and kind of get in the mood. And I mean, if you like hard southern rock, Train is one of the best songs you can come around. Sail Away off of Siogo. Now this is definitely the poppiest of the songs that I'm listing here. It's got keyboards in it. Siogo has keyboards in the album for the first time, I think, at least noticeably. So there was a definite stylistic change on this album, but Sail Away is a great song, no matter who did it. Diary of a Working Man off of Marauder. This is one of those songs that tells a nice, well, it's not a nice story, it's a sort of a depressing story, but it's a storytelling song off of Marauder. It starts out slow, it gets heavy, and then it gets slow again. It takes you on quite a ride. Good Morning off of Marauder. So 2 songs in a row off of Marauder. It's actually 3 off of Marauder in this list altogether. Searchin' and Diary of a Working Man, and now Good Morning. Actually, no, it's Good Mornin', apostrophe. They had a thing for taking any word that ended in ing and taking away the G and putting an apostrophe. So Searchin', not searching, Searchin'. Good Mornin', not Good Morning, and other examples of that. But This is the best lead-off track that Blackfoot has done. It's one of my favorite lead-off tracks on any album. If you want to wake up in the morning, make this song your alarm tone because it is a banger. And then Highway Song, my favorite Blackfoot album. It's off of Strikes, and Strikes only has, oh nope, it's a tie between Marauder and Strikes. They each have 3 songs represented on this top 10 list. And since Strikes has Highway Song, and Highway Song is my number 1 song, that goes along with Strikes being my favorite Blackfoot album. But Highway Song goes along with Freebird, Fall of the Peacemakers, Gator Country, Greengrass and High Tides. You name a lot of the Southern rock anthems that explode into blazing guitar solos. They're not blazing, not in the sense of like Judas Priest blazing, but just adventurous guitar solos at the end of the song. Highway Song is Blackfoot's best contribution to that, and it is my favorite Blackfoot song. So there you go. That's everything I know about Blackfoot in a nutshell. I'm Ken the Metal Professor. Thanks for visiting my basement. These videos are the modern version of Come Over to My Basement and Look at My Record Collection, and I know that Come Over to My Basement has sort of a skeevy sound to it, but we all know it's meant well, and good luck with your social distancing. Go out there and listen to some music.